Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Most Like Sports Pod here. Again, Murr coming at you with all the details and the news from around the sports card industry, specifically here in the Midwest. And we're going to break it down into a couple of topics today. So, mainly going to be talking about the Olympics currently and how those are doing, especially in the world of the major four sports like hockey, both men's and women's, and how those are being affected or how they are affecting the sports card market and what collectors should care about, the mess around PSA pricing, the scandals, plus what alternatives like AGS are bringing to the table. And then we'll bring it home with upcoming local shows in the Midwest and how to prepare if you're planning to buy or setting up to sell or just looking to build a better PC. So if that's you, you're going to want to stick around for this one. All right, so let's get into it with the Olympics here because that's where a ton of hobby attention is pointed right now, especially those big fans of the NHL. So right now we're in the middle of the Winter Games, of course, ice hockey happening right now, and we are down to the semifinals for the men's. Women playing right now in the gold medal game against Canada as we are recording this. So with ice hockey basically stretching across that full schedule and being a large market, especially here in North America, figure we should chat about it just a little bit. So, from a sports card angle, hockey is obviously the clear headliner here, and this tournament brings on full NHL talent. I mean, full NHL talent, three full NHL rosters being the US, Canada, and Sweden. And that's just absolutely pumped energy into the hockey market. So, Team USA, Team Canada games in particular, always loaded with recognizable NHL stars, especially our captains up there, Sidney Crosby for Canada, Austin Matthews for Team USA, and then, of course, a fully loaded Sweden team that the U.S. had a tough time dealing with and getting by them in overtime as well. Not just them having problems, though. Team Canada won in overtime, and it's been quite a good tournament round, if you will. So, again, when you see these recognizable NHL stars and those guys pop off on nationally televised Olympic hockey, you see quick spikes and key rookie cards, low numbered parallels, some of the grails, even maybe some patch autos or some nice patches, some of those immaculate cards. The media and the marketplace chatter already zeroing in on some of the biggest Team USA names as having some of the strongest hockey card sales of the year so far. At any time, a player that becomes the face of a national team in a short tournament like this, you get a perfect storm of hype. It's national pride. It's big time TV. It's TV coverage and clean, easy story for collectors and investors. Something to look back and reflect on, saying, "Hey, I had this card during this time. What a great deal it was." So, how do you play this out as a collector or a seller? So, first, identify the players and see whose cards are already moving. Well, let's see, Connor McDavid's, all the big names having good tournaments here, especially Team USA. The goaltending has been back and forth. It was pretty good in this last game, only giving up a couple there in regulation. And I know Binnington obviously been on the pipe for Team Canada and shows up big in those big games. So you're looking for some of those guys, plus a couple of the breakout names from European teams being surprising, like Dalibor Dvorsky, obviously leading, I believe, Slovakia there too, having the most points by an NHL player in country's history at an Olympic Games. So very cool to see young players like that doing well. And again, maybe though they don't have a lot of product out right now, but what product they do have, you'll see an increase or a spike. So keep those in mind. And then next, we want to focus on true rookie cards and recognizable brands, young guns, flagship rookie parallels. Numbered autos tend to see the strongest percentage moves when a player has a big Olympic run. So something to keep track of there. And then third, you got to be realistic about the Olympic bump. So all those things I just covered on, wrapped up into a pretty little bow. These spikes are short-lived, right? It's a very short winter games. It's a very short Olympic season. So a big hat trick or a game winner can send those prices up for a week or two. But if the player's regular season, they kind of go back into a slump or par for the course, obviously it's going to drop back down a little bit. So keep that in mind if you're looking to buy right now. And I'd suggest if they're on a high, you might want to turn around and flip it and sell it high. Again, if you're selling, it's a really great time. Pull out those star and upcoming hockey rookies, especially if they're on Olympic rosters. Test the market, auction formats, live shows, whatnots, things like that. If you're buying, you can still prospect on players who are playing well, but aren't getting that hobby love yet. Again, these are those young stars, maybe even second, third year players that have come out of the development leagues. So those second line forwards, young defensemen, those anchoring a medal run that might not have fully popped in the market, those are what we're looking for here. So a quick word on the other Olympic sports. Historically, outside of hockey, really nothing moves the needle quite like the four major sports in the market. But soccer, basketball, during those Olympic runs, especially this year being a World Cup year, expect to see those spike once we start getting into June. Hockey has a good combo. Obviously, we have the Olympics, and last year we had the Four Nations face off, and obviously we're getting into playoff season and the home stretch of the NHL year. So if you're a seller, consider pairing your hockey auctions with Olympic themed streams or game time live sales, maybe gold medal lots if they do end up getting some hardware around their neck or hitting a podium. Things like that are being good things to focus on, especially for sellers in the market right now. Quick segment here before we get into our last piece of the show today. Hop on over to mostliksports.square.site for all of the latest inventory that we have in stock, including newest batch returns from AGS, as we just talked about in our last segment. So I wanted to highlight some of those items as well available. Hover over the shop all now, and we have them divided into our raw singles category, and then of course our slabs. We want to look at some NBA slabs today just to feature them real quick so you know exactly where to find them and how to get them. Some of these will be available time to time on sites like eBay and whatnot for bids, but all of them available through the website. So again, very clean slabs from AGS, as you can see. And a couple cards that we want to focus on here today are this AGS Gem Mint 10 Vitreous die cut from Panini Obsidian of 24-25 for the Lakers. Again, a Gem Mint 10. We've got it listed under its current value right now, so get it while it's hot. Also, new customers, as you saw on the homepage, get 10% off your first order. That is for anything on the website, no matter the cost, no matter how high, no matter if you're buying in bulk. 10% off. Sign up for that. Just put your email in. It'll get you a code to use at checkout. So take advantage of that where you can on mostliksports.square.site. And another card to highlight here that is currently available for bid, both of these in the middle actually. We have the rookie Cooper Flag Generation Now hollow foil. So that one is available right now on eBay for less than this price. Again, it is set at a 70% bid. So feel free to get over there and start bidding on that. It's Most Like Sports on eBay. So just find us, same logo, easy to find. And then the other one available on eBay right now is this AGS Gem Mint 10 Ear of the Snake from 24-25 Mosaic Basketball of Tyrese Maxey. A very, very clean card. Again, listed at a lower price right now on eBay. So if you want a discount, check it out over there. Or if you want to buy it from here and still get a discount, sign up with your email, 10% off your first order. Mostliksports.square.site. All right, let's shift into grading because I know the PSA situation has come across several feeds, everybody's feeds, I'm sure by now, multiple times over. And it's been one of the biggest hobby storylines lately. And maybe a personal opinion, but it seems like it's a shared opinion, one of the biggest laughable jokes as far as them grading their own cards for a higher. So over the last year or so, PSA rolled out another round of price increases across their most popular tiers. And then at the same time, they struggled with extending turnaround times, especially on bulk and value submissions. So they not only did that in last year, now in the last week, 2 weeks, week and a half, not even, they've done it again. It's going up. And I've heard both sides of the spectrum, right? We hear this is only going to make those 10s and the cards that you want to submit. You really want to make sure it's a truly worthy card of being submitted for a grade. But then on the other end, all these other mid to low high tier cards, some smaller RPAs and immaculates and things like that, that just maybe are numbered to 75, 50, 100. Are you going to just want to sell those raw straight off the jump and not even risk it anymore? Especially if it's like I don't know, let's say like a Wemby rookie, like you pull that out of a 22, 23 set, and you have a raw immaculate number to 50 right now. It's a generational talent. Do you want to send it in and pay the $25 per card to get it turned around to you in 3 to 6 months' time? Is it going to be worth it, especially if you're a run and gun, flip them quick kind of a seller or a reseller? I don't think so. If you're a PC person and that Wimby's your boy, maybe, but at least to us here, we kind of had to weigh the pros and cons as a company here at Most Like Sports. And we might be biased on this. We're going to speak on our biasisms and we're going to speak on what we're seeing in the market. But I don't think that this has warranted any more PSA submissions from us. But again, we're talking about the higher fees and for the tiers most everyday collectors use, with PSA pointing to massive submission volume that they need to maintain quality. That's on top of them expanding facilities and staffing and still telling customers that higher prices and slower timelines are just part of the equation, part of that human grading process equation. So layered on top of the pricing and delays, there's been a full-on trust crisis. Hobby, media, and collectors have discussed allegations about grading, swapping, conflicts of interest, and questions about how certain cards seem to get more favorable treatment, especially when tied to big money entities. Like you see some very good 10s on places like arena clubs and some resale shops like the Tom Brady's. I know he's got a 1/1 86 Super Fractor LeBron James sitting in one of his vaults for 18 grand. Would that card get the same treatment across the board if it was just an everyday, hey, I pulled this out of a high-end box at my local shop? I don't know. I think that's what the question is here. And then also the concern is we have submissions being made to PSA and sold to PSA at grades of 9s, and then those same numbers, the same indicators on the PSA lots are then now being flipped and turned around for sale by PSA on PSA's website and their selling platforms at a 10. So they are now buying them low, changing grades, selling them higher, or at least trying to, until it was caught on by collectors. So that has been the biggest one I have seen across the board that has caused the most scrutiny. So add in concerns about one company having outsized control of the grading market, being PSA, and it's no surprise people have been calling for more oversight and transparency and just asking, is it worth it? Again, we see both sides of the coin, right? We see it's only going to make 10s more valuable. It might even make 9s a little more valuable. Great. I'd still rather have a fully automated process to grade a 10 without human error possible with a quicker turnaround time. And that is something that is available on the market right now. So all of that has led to some collectors openly boycotting PSA. I wouldn't say we're on that bandwagon of boycotting. We're just making logistical sense here of, look at A and B and what offers you a better service. We think something offers us a better service, and that would be AGS, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But just the steep price increases, the processing times, the buyback flip conflicts, and then just a general lack of trust. It doesn't mean PSA is done. Obviously, they're still the giant monopoly conglomerate in the market. And we know PSA 10s command top dollar, but it does mean that many hobbyists are open now to other alternatives, and this might be a good opportunity for other graders and services to take advantage of that. And then again, that's where AGS currently lives right now. So this is automated grading systems. This is a service that personally Most Like Sports has been using due to their extremely transparent process of robo grading integrated with AI. They send you exactly what your grades were, what your centering got, what your corners got. Everything comes with just their basic submissions. And if you want to pay for their gold, it gives you just even more detail into each little nook and cranny of your card. They clean your cards at that service as well. And all of their slabs look just as fantastic, if not better, with the gold labels than a PSA, personally. So all of that. And again, it's an AI grading service, computer-based analysis, transparent subscores. One of their biggest selling points is their turnaround time. Automation and AI, they can move cards faster than the PSA economy tiers, which are slowed. Again, it's human bottlenecks. That's what's creating the backlog here. So let's break down a few comparison categories, and you can talk about on a show that you can talk about with your crew, with your card collecting buddies, your company, whatever you need to. So pricing, let's talk about pricing first. PSA steadily raising prices on popular tiers. So again, that's sitting around, I forget the latest numbers, 25, 26 something a card at the lowest for a bulk submission. So when you materially lower your cost basis on mid-range modern cards and you increase your turnaround time, usually not a good combination. So again, turnaround time here, collectors have reported longer waits at PSA, particularly for large bulk orders submitted during high demand periods, which it seems like every period is now a high demand period. So let's get that out of the way. AGS promotes quick turnaround times, leveraging automation so you can get them back in a time frame that matches fast-moving player markets. I think their turnaround time for their lowest submission is a 20 business day turnaround time. In some cases, you put that in on the first of the month, you're getting that back in the same month. That's insane. Unheard of, something PSA could not offer unless you pay hundreds of dollars a card to do so, and they prioritize that way. So I think AGS is ahead of the ball there and a leader in the market, actually. For quality and consistency, again, PSA's brand is built on human graders and decades of market data, right? The recent controversies, sure, they've kind of deteriorated that just a touch, but overall, PSA still holds a very strong value in the market. It's a well-known brand. It's a flagship. AGS leans on, again, AI-powered grading. It's a new and upcoming system. It's a very, I think in our opinion and what we've seen, a pretty heavy Pokemon environment, but again, dabbling in sports cards and getting into sports cards at the right time is something that they're doing. And again, their product that they put out overall, if you look at the total package, by far and away, it's just worth it. So again, their detailed analytics and AI powered grading, it appeals to collectors who are seeing measurable breakdowns of why a card got the grade that it did, and not just being guessed or not just saying, oh, we have to accept it because they told us so. So that's another benefit of AGS. Resale value, PSA still holds, I think, in my opinion, just the highest resale premium overall. Iconic, rookies, vintage, anything modern. PSA is, again, that standard, that golden arches in the fast food industry. AGS slabs don't sell at PSA level premiums, but they can make sense when your goal is to flip faster. I personally think they hold pretty good value compared to PSA, and that's how we treat them. Now, if we're talking, if a buyer is buying a PSA 10 at 80%, if I have to drop to a 75, somewhere still in the ballpark, that's fine. But I think these cards are just as equal in value, if not better, based on the more transparent grading system. So I think it's just so much better of an overall process. And then talking about purely grading process, again, PSAs is human. And then, as I have alluded to, AI and tech forward processes for AGS. So if you're creating a narrative for your audience and you can position it for your sellers and your communities, PSA is still the king of resale value. But sometimes, the king gets slowed down. Sometimes the king gets distracted. AGS is more like a fast moving tech startup, cheaper, quicker, transparent, still building market recognition, which we are all about helping and assisting with because their product, it has been so good for us. And for your own business, that gives you two very clear lines. So use PSA selectively for either top tier cards like autographs, which AGS cannot still do, pre 2012 cards, 2006 cards, 2002 cards, something like that. AGS cannot do. So if you need to hold off those higher end cards or those more vintage cards or the autographs and things like that, and need to send those into PSA just to get a grade on them, feel free to do that. Until that is a service that is possible with AGS. But that's something to keep in mind when trying to submit to PSA, and that's something that we will do as well if we need to. But for AGS or similar AI-driven graders for a faster, lower-cost pipeline, mid-tier cards where transparency and speed matter, that's where you can get good resale value by using an AGS or another hybrid company. So you even talk about kind of a hold for major flips with PSA. That's something that more PCs tend to sell a little bit later, Dawn, after they get them back, just because they hold their value. Where AGS, that's inventory that you can keep rotating and moving. That's good for fast movers, and it's good for a market at a more approachable price point. All right. Thank you all for sticking around and for checking us out here at Most Like Sports. So let's bring it local and talk about some in-person shows coming up here in the Midwest market. So the areas from Chicago to St. Louis down to Dallas, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, several shows going on. So local shows coming up include the brewery hosted City Card Show, and that is going to be at Rockwell Brewing coming up as well. Do not have the dates on that at hand, but we'll add them into the show later. But that will be a very fun event at Rockwell Brewing. They will have a mix of cards, and it is a very casual hangout vibe. It's a shipping container based brewery. They have some very good products there as well. So that one is in St. Louis. Let's see, regular St. Louis area hotel or banquet halls coming up. Let's see, the Orlando Gardens. That one is going to be more of a mix of modern and vintage dealers there as well. One down Southern Missouri up next at an old mall here in Springfield, Missouri. That one is going to be inside the shopping centers and community space. That will have some casual collectors and some serious buyers being able to reach out from those Omahas, Oklahoma Cities, Kansas Cities, closer market over there as well. Again, with the Olympics going on, kind of tying the show up, it is enjoying a mini boom for hockey. So particularly those stars in the tournaments and those younger players. So take advantage of that. Football is coming off of the recent NFL season. So be aware of the rookie class coming up with the draft in April, and make sure if you have any college cards or things like that, you are holding on to those until draft night. And then depending on where they go, they might land in a good money-making spot. So feel free to hold on to those and make sure that you can get your best bang for your buck there once the draft comes and goes. And again, buyers are more informed than ever. So most have their phones out, checking comps, pop reports, recent sales. These are things to all keep in mind if you're going to any local shows, doing any selling online. So again, create your inventory around what's moving, just some practical steps that might help you out. Lead with hockey right now, obviously the Olympic time. Keep checking up on NFL players coming up to the NFL draft. Big NBA names going into the playoff season as well as the NHL. Make sure that if you're wanting to flip or sell those high, the time to do it might be in the next month or two. So remember that grading costs and delays are baked into what buyers are willing to pay if you do send off batches to be graded here soon. Just be ready to explain your prices in terms of comps, grading fees, and condition. I suggest, and we also do have bundle deals available. Like 3-for-1 lots or team stacks or customizable bundles. We do have some of those available also at mostLikeSports.square.site. And again, if you have AGS slabs, which we do have a good chunk of now, just explain those benefits. It's faster, cheaper, it's more detailed, and you get awesome grading reports with it at no additional charge. And you'd even get more of a grading report for a small additional charge. Still pennies to the dollar compared to PSA. So at physical shows, some last words, put your hottest sports cards front and center. If you are going as a buyer, as a purchaser, not as a vendor, take some cards with you in the case. Have some high ends, look for those buying signs and those vendors that are looking to get some of those things into their inventory, into their shops. If you have those aforementioned players and those categories that are selling high at certain points right now, feel free to take some of those, especially for local shows upcoming. So I appreciate everyone stopping in today. That's going to do it for today's episode. We covered the Olympics. We covered some hockey, some NFL coming up to the draft, the PSA scandals, and some AGS turnaround times. If you need more information or need to check us out online, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here. We'll have more coming out and more sports talk and everything across the board weekly, if not bi-weekly. And we'll also have the most available and recent updates on our Instagram page for live shows at mostLikeSports.square.site. And on Instagram, just at mostLikeSports. So thanks for stepping in, and we will chat with you soon.